Water cooling is expensive, so I went on Temu and brought the crucial parts that needed for water cooling. This includes the CPU cooler, hose, and a water pump. In total, it's cost me £9.63. Will it work, or will it squirt all over the motherboard and start a house fire?
So the first thing we need to do is take this CPU cooler off. Before we put this on, we need to see sort of where we can put the pump. Alright, we can put this way, because then we got loads of room here, ain't we? So we're going to put that there, and then what? We might have to make an external reservoir and just sort of cable tie it onto here. Actually, yeah, let's do that now. Here we go, we can use these green cable ties. Will that be fine? Yeah, you know what, that'll do. Alright, there we go, reservoir's on. In the description of this cooler, it didn't really say what size these holes were. So I got some 6mm tube, and it turns out it might be a bit bigger. So we're gonna have to put this in hot water and then just slide it on. It's gonna be like that, isn't it? So we can snip it about there. Hopefully that's right. We should be fine. Now let's put this end in there. We can try opening it up with some tweezers. Right, I've got another idea. We're gonna put this over some wire cutters and then hopefully this can stretch it. Yeah, look at that. All right, we're sliding on. So now that should, yep, all right, that can go straight to the reservoir. Can we mount it up here? So this is the drill we're going to be using. It's a 400 watt DeWalt one. Will the drill fall off? Would that be fine there? Let's mount it there. I mean, we could screw it down. Before we mount this, we need to first connect some hose to it. So if you haven't noticed already, this hole is too big for this hose, which is why we have some flex tape. And also I might have chopped a bit of my sister's garden hose off. So we're going to mount the water pump that way. Now I'm hoping this isn't going to leak. That'll do. I reckon we snip the hose sort of here. Now let's see if we got enough hose. So is that going to slide all the way in there? Yes it is, but the reservoir is moving. I reckon we just drill straight into the PC with a wood screw and hopefully it goes down. Should we center punch it first? Yeah, let's do that. Don't know how well you can see that, but it's a bit nicked there now. So now let's try and screw this thing in. Hopefully we don't slip. Oh, we are denting the case. I did Dremel a hole out here for the Henry Hoover. The case is now bowing out. We can fix that. Is that fixing it? You know, it's not as bad as it was. There we go. Hopefully the internals still work, but we should be alright. It's not as bowed, but still is a bit, but we should be alright. Should we just flex tape it down? Yeah, we could probably cable tie it, actually. Just thread that through now. So now we need another hose to go to the CPU cooler. So this side takes water up the pump, and now we need to sort of make an adapter so we can fit this onto it. We're going to flex tape that on there, and then we're going to flex tape that on there, and well, hopefully that works. We need to mount it whilst the bracket's on. Alright, this time we're going to hopefully do it straight. You know what, that'll do. That's straightish. Straight enough. Now we can clamp back here so this bracket doesn't slide off. And now we've done that, we should probably estimate a distance between this thing and the reservoir. So if that goes in there, and then what, this cooler's going to be about here, I reckon we can chop it off about there. So let's just snip that. Now we need to bring back the hot water, which it's not even hot anymore actually. Come on. Is it going to go on fully? You know what, that'll do. We are also going to cable tie these connections so they don't come off. And also because I'm going to be using it at high temperatures for a future video. That's if the computer survives it. There we go, that'll do. Let's snip you off. You know what, that's good, that'll do. Alright, so now we can peel off the flex tape. And now let's align the hose. Alright, so literally we're just going to snip the side of this. Should we snip a bit more off? Yeah, there we go, and then we can just crush the hose into it. We might as well snip all this excess off. Hopefully you can see what's going on, but... So now that this is flex taped on, and the tubes are sort of in there, but this ain't on the CPU yet. Should we test for leaks? Actually, before we do that, we should probably secure this thing down. So let's just loosen this clip. Well, let's feed it this way so it's sort of harder to pull out. Let's wrap it round it, actually. And then we can just tighten it. Yeah, that'll do. That looks like that's holding. Wait, reckon we can shove this in here as well. And now let's mount this 400 watt drill. Secure it onto the... There we go. Using the same cable, can shove it out the DVD drive window. I think this is working. We can give it a test run. Fill this up. Right, so when the pump is on, the hose is going to pick up most of this water, so we might have to add some more whilst we wait for it to bleed. Put this right at the bottom. Put the exhaust hose in, I guess we'll call that one. And now, let's see if it works. Is it going the wrong way? I think it's going the wrong way. Do we need to help it? Shall I suck on this end? Okay, it's coming through. Why is it not doing anything? There seems to be an air gap somewhere in it, I think. Okay, I am just now drinking dirty water. Unless the reservoir needs to be higher than the pump. That might be the issue. Pump seems to be leaking. Okay, it's leaking all over the power supply. Why is the pump leaking? It's literally all on the power supply. You know what? It is working though. That is a slight issue, because we now have a wet power supply. Looks like we're going to have to get a fish pump. How am I going to take a picture to return this? Alright, so we're going to have to take all this stuff off, and then, well, we'll see you when we have a fish pump. Just got this water pump. This thing costs about £8.30 something, but you can probably find them for a bit cheaper. And because this is a bigger pump, we sort of need a bigger reservoir than this, which is why we've got this bottle. I mean, it's pretty much, what, almost twice the size? This is a pump that you'll find in, like, caravans and stuff like that. You basically put this to a container of water, wire this thing up to a tap, turn it on, and then it pretty much just spews water out. Now, the only downside of this thing is we do need to wire it up. So we're just going to connect it to the power supply of this computer. I think SATA port to 12 volt. So we can probably tap into these wires and it should be alright. We also are going to have to use a bit more flex tape for this tube. Let's just tape it round. You know what? Let's snip it off here. Then let's put another bit of tape round this tube. Now, hopefully that won't leak. Wait, let's try blowing into it. Alright, we need something to clamp down there. So we're going to steal the Jubilee clip off this thing. Now, realistically for water, you should use stainless steel clips because these will rust. But for now, we should be alright. Ah, slight problem. It only closes by that much. Alright, I guess we're going to have to use some cable ties then. Alright, let's just cable tie this connection. Alright, let's try blowing into it. There's still a slight air leak. You know what? That's fixed it. I'm blowing into it and there's no air coming out. Alright, so we've sorted that issue. Let's leave a bit of a chamfer on it, just so that the water doesn't all spill out. But what are these things called? Like cable clamp? No, they're not clamps. Okay, I don't know what this is called. So now we can secure this onto the PC. That'll do. It doesn't have to be perfect. As long as it doesn't tip over, we should be alright. So now we need to wire this up to one of these SATA things. Alright, so I'm assuming this is like positive and negative, and this is also positive and negative. So we're going to connect the brown to the red and the blue to the black. Hopefully it doesn't blow up, maybe. The worst that can happen is the pump just explodes or something, but... Oh, I've just ripped the... Ah, that is an issue. I've just ripped the whole wire off. Well, twist and tape it. That's... You know what, if we've snipped the red wire, we might as well snip the other one. Let's twist these two red ones, and then we can twist these two black ones. And now we can do the same to the wire on the actual pump. Let's get some electrical tape on it, just so we don't short them out on each other. Alright, now we can wrap the tape around it. Oh, you know what? That'll do. That's wrapped around. Should we turn the computer on? Let's first get some water into the pump, but let's also put the exhaust thing down there. We're going to reuse this stuff, because why not? There we go, just absolutely soak that. Might as well add a bit more water. Don't know how I can see it, but the water level's like up to there. Now let's plug the PC in. Try not to knock over any water. Oh, alright, turn the PC on now. Look at that. It's pumping. Look at that. That's actually working. It's not even that loud, to be fair. Alright, let's turn this PC off, because it has not got a CPU cooler on. Now we know it works. I was not expecting it to work that well. Let's clean the thermal paste off this CPU. Now we can clean the surface on this cooler with a bit of alcohol. Alright, so how are we going to mount this? Alright, we're going to put that up there. And then we're going to wrap some cable ties around the mounting hardware. Now, I wouldn't recommend doing this to your normal PC, but look at that. Alright, so we've wrapped the cable ties round. I mean... I guess we could wrap this one round to there. But then where's this one going to go? Or instead of securing it down there, I think put one at the top here. And now where do we put the other hoop? I guess we could... Yeah, we might have to wrap it down here actually. Oh, you know what? There's a bit of a gap there. That'll do. We can wrap it there. You know what? I think we can mount this sideways. Can't... Actually, we can't do that because now there's a bit of a gap there. Alright, I found a way to sort of mount it. Look at that. Now let's clean it with a bit of alcohol. Should we secure it with the cable fastener? Put a nice little dot in the middle. That's too much, but we should be alright. Now let's put this thing on. There we go. Let's try and get that thermal paste smushed out. You know what? That's holding. It is a bit wiggly side to side, but there is, like, the slightest bit of pressure on there. I reckon that'll do. Let's put the exhaust back in there. Oh, I need my SSD, don't I? And now let's see if it'll turn on. Water is pumping. That's quite cold. Why aren't we posting? Oh, let's turn it off and back on. Oh, wait, I think we broke this graphics card from when we threw it down the stairs, didn't we? Ah, that might be a slight issue. Alright, so I found this thing. It's pretty much the same as the other one, just a bit more used. Well, and we've posted, look at that. Oh, CPU temperature is at 32. Not sure how well you can see the CPU temperature, but it's working. Should we get a stress tester on? Let's get Prime 95 up. Maximum power heat. That's what we want. This is under a stress test. We're at 50 degrees. This thing is climbing a bit. If this stays below 60, then this is literally better than the stock cooler. Because the stock cooler bumps up to about 65 degrees under this load. It's going down and up. I wasn't expecting it to work this well. This was 15 quid. So realistically, you might need a radiator, just so that this water doesn't heat itself up and then the CPU starts heating up. But you could throw some ice in there, or you could just like shove a garden hose through it. You know what? Let's add some ice to it. You know what? The temperature is dropping. Look at that. All right, that's where we added the ice. It is going down. The ice is also melting. I'm going to move the pump higher so it can suck the ice in. And it's down to 47 degrees. I was not expecting that to work this well. It's dropping temp. This is on a stress test. Let's stop this stress test. It just nosedived. All right, let's see how cool we can get the CPU up. Right, all the ice is starting to melt. There is starting to be a bit of condensation on the cooler pipes and also on the CPU cooler. Yeah, look at all that condensation. That's because it's actually a bit too cold, but you know what? We are working. I was not expecting it to do this well. Oh, what we're going to do now is we're going to run it dry because we're going to add some really cold water to it. So we got some really cold water in this. What I was going to do is I was going to put this in the freezer, make this solidify, and then sort of feed the pump into there and then into that, because then when the water flows through here, it's going to get cooled by the ice as it goes in there. But I mean, we might as well just pour it in. And also, I don't really have any adapters to connect that to this, so it'll probably just leak everywhere. Let's pour this really cold water in. This has been sitting in the freezer for a couple hours. Well, let's see if the temperature drops. We are at 16 degrees and there is a load of condensation being formed on this cooler. Yeah, look at all that. We're at 12 degrees. There is going to be a load of water on that CPU. I've got this temperature gun. We're going to see how cold the water actually is, or how cold the bottle is. 9 degrees. The temperature is climbing. You know what? It is actually doing quite well. This is literally better than the stock. This is like, do you reckon I can fill it up with liquid nitrogen? Look at that. This is on a stress test. Take Prime 95 up. Let's do a geek bench. It literally drops. Look how sharp that drops as soon as you turn the stress test off. The only downside to doing this is you get a load of condensation on that heatsink. Okay, so we are now connected to internet. You can probably see where I've started to connect to it. So now let's run a CPU benchmark. We'll see you when it's finished. Alright, so the stress test has just finished, and he got a single core score of 518 and a multi-core score of 1522. Now, this score with the Henry Hoover attached to it from last video got a single core score of 542, so I mean, it's a bit less than that. But it got a multi-core score of 1521, and ours is a bit higher. And also, if you look at the CPU temperature on last video, I mean, you can't really see it well, but it says 45 degrees whilst it was doing nothing, and this thing was at pretty much 45 degrees whilst running the stress test. So if you want to see me do anything else with this computer, let me know in the comments below. Please like, subscribe, all that stuff, and we'll see you next week.